Hey everyone, and welcome to my chaotic mess. If you're new here, my name is Melissa.
Oh, I feel so alive. As I reach out to the sky. I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day.
Today's an exciting day. Today we're doing a Q&A, and I'm really excited to do this one. So we're gonna go there. I put them in somewhat of an order. One of the questions we're going to be going outside for, so that one is going to be the last one. That way I'm not going out, then in, then out, So anyway, so the first question is from our little gingerbread house, and you won't see her name on there because for some reason the way I cut it cut her name out, but I promise you it's her. So she asks, I got a good one. Question. If you were given $100 budget specifically for yourself to shop on Temu, what would you buy? Would love to see pictures of what you pick. I think it would be so fun to see. So I spent some time on Temu this morning and I filled a cart. I did go over by $2.48, but I'll just pay that out of my own pocket since I was given the $100. So, anyway, I'm gonna flip you around and we're gonna go through my cart because I figured it would be easier than showing pictures. All right. So this is my cart over here, and I'm going to pull up each item one by one. So the first thing in my cart, it brought up my cart. So the first thing in my cart is this 2-pack of pot and pan organizers. I figured if I could do something like this where my pots and pans currently are, I would have so much more room to add more things. Not necessarily buying new things, but like things that I already have. The next thing I thought I kept this one on. This was my justification for keeping on. This is a hanger for leggings, and I thought if I could get my leggings out of the drawer and into the closet, I would probably there are some that don't ever get worn because they're in the bottom of the drawer. So that's my thought behind that. All right, next one. Do I really only have 3 items? Oh no, there's more. Okay, so next thing is a compost bin I would like to start composting and getting my own compost for the garden. That has not yet started, but it will soon. So that is the most expensive item on my list. And then scrolling up, this thing claims that it's normally $50. I'm going to tell you right now, I would never pay $50 for this, but it's a sink organizer. It's with a dishcloth holder. So this is basically what it is. And the one I have now does not fit around my sink properly. And so I am about to just clean it off and then store it somewhere until we possibly move. Because I know I could just get rid of it, but I just have high hopes, I guess. All right, so then the next one, the last thing I got is this. It's a countertop basket with removable bamboo lid. Now I wouldn't use this on the countertop. I'd actually use this in my linen closet for like shower curtains and stuff like that I don't normally reach for, but I would like to store properly, if that makes any sense. So that is my $102 basket on Temu. So let me know what you think of the items I chose. All right, so our next question comes from, sorry, I cannot talk, comes from Michelle Zink 8677. She says, I always find it interesting to find out about people, so thanks for doing this. First question, how close do you live to the beach? Well, I actually looked this up earlier because we normally go to Venice Beach because that's just, you know, Venice Beach. It's right down Tamiami Trail, easy to get to, you know. So basically you can't miss it. That one was, according to Google Maps, almost an hour from us, which I never thought it took that long, but you know, but apparently we have a closer beach to us, and that's only 35 minutes. So we might have to go check that beach out sometime. But yeah, so that's how close, that's the closest beach we live to, like actual Gulf beach, because we live close to the Gulf of Mexico, and yes, it will always be Gulf of Mexico to me. Anyway, but we also have a harbor that's a harbor beach that's closer to us, but it's closed right now because of the hurricane. The hurricane completely destroyed it. Like everything is fenced off. The only thing open in the area, they opened the playground back up, but all the buildings were completely destroyed in the hurricane, and so they have not reopened it. They have not reopened it to get to the pier. It's just, it sucks because it was one of the places my husband and I used to go to watch the sunset, because it's like 5 minutes from our house. But oh, we'll move. We'll what am I trying to say? We'll live. All right, so next question is, do you want to stay in Florida? And if not, where would you like to move? Me personally, I don't want to stay in Florida for the rest of my life, but I think that's just because with like my sun allergy, it's kind of miserable to, like, I can't go sit out in the sun like I used to, and it's just not fun anymore. I'll just say that. Now, do I love Florida? I do love Florida. If I wish we lived closer to Central Florida still. So if we were to stay in Florida, I would want to move back closer to Orlando, because the reason I really wanted to move back to Florida was to be close to the theme parks, because I absolutely love Disney and I wanted to have a season pass and all the other fun stuff. And it just didn't happen. We did used to have season pass to SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, but when we moved down here, it just didn't make sense to do it. And the only reason we got season passes to Busch Gardens and SeaWorld was that they did not have like restrictions at the time, whereas Disney had gotten rid of their annual passes, and they put a lot of restrictions in place. You have to register to go. I don't know if you still have to register to go or not, but so yeah. But now that we live in Southwest Florida, we're about 3 hours from the theme parks, and it's just, well, Busch Gardens is like an hour and a half, but Orlando's 3 hours, roughly 3 hours, depending on the traffic. And so where would I move to? Like, my husband and I always joke about moving to Alaska. I always joke about moving to, I'm gonna say it wrong, it's like Svalbard. It's like the North Pole, like the most northern country you can live in. So closest to the north, actual North Cap, like pole. Yeah, anyway, I don't know how to explain it, but I always joke about living there. I watch a YouTuber that lives there, and it's so beautiful. So beautiful. Even when she shows like all the snowstorms and how the snow is like almost covering her porch, I'm like, because the houses are raised where she lives, because she lives on the beach basically. But I would still live there. I would still want to live there. Is that crazy? Other places I would like to live is probably like Canada. I've never been to Canada, but there's pictures. Let me see if I can't remember the name of that place. Let's do this. Hold on. Okay, I found it. There's a YouTuber I watched that just bought a house on an island off of Newfoundland, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm thinking like Quebec, honestly. I would want to live in like Quebec, because I don't know. I feel like, in this, maybe I'm wrong, I feel like maybe Ontario might be too populated. I don't know, but I know Quebec is like a big French area, I think. And maybe that's why I want to live in Quebec, because I heard, and I could be wrong because I've never been, but I've heard Quebec is still very like French, provincial, French style, like buildings and stuff like that. So a lot of people compare it, and it might not be Quebec, it might be a different province, but they compare it to being able to go to Paris without having to fly to France. So I don't know. You know me, I'm all about, I love France. I want to go to France so bad, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I've never been to France. I watch people that live in France, and it's just so beautiful there. Would I ever want to live? I joke to my husband that we should go buy a castle in France because they're so cheap. Like, they are cheap. You can buy a French castle or chateau for about the same price you can buy a 3-bedroom house in the area I live in. Now, granted, it's gonna depend on what size chateau you want. So and what state you're gonna buy it in, because you can buy a ruin for like under $100,000 US. But if you want something livable, you're gonna spend anywhere from $200,000 up. And that's going to depend on the size you want, the location you want, and stuff like that. So I always joke about that, but I don't think I would ever live in France. But Canada is my escape route from the United States. So, and I know all of you proud Americans like me are like, why do you need an escape route? Because everyone should have an escape route. Because if you've watched any type of show that predicts, like not really predicts, but says what the future is going to be, I call them predictions. And I can just see this country going towards a Handmaid's Tale perspective, because there are a lot of people that have trouble getting pregnant and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just see the need for an escape route one day, and that's why I stand with Canada on them not becoming a 51st state, because for one, no offense, offense to the president. Why would you make all of Canada a 51st state? That is stupid, because Canada is almost as big as us, if not bigger. So they're way too big to be a state. Anyway, I mean, maybe 51st, 52nd, 56th, 50, up to like 70th state. But no, I don't want them to be I don't want them to be part of our country. They need to be their own country, just like Mexico needs to be their own country. We, 3 countries, make North America, not the United States. The United States is not the only country in this world. We need to, I'm getting political. I'll stop. Anyway, I'll stop. Just know I stand with Canada. Just know that. Even though I am a proud American, and you can be both, by the way. You can be both. How did you meet your husband? I met my husband on a site called Meet Me. It used to be like my yearbook or something like that before it became Meet Me. Anyway, we met on there, and I was not actually on there looking for anyone particularly. I was on there just really to make friends, because Crystal and I had just moved to Florida, and we were living in a hotel, and so I was just trying to make friends in general. And I met him on there, and honestly, when we first started talking, we talked for months, and then we finally met, and like we went on a date. He asked me out, and we went on a date, and he didn't kiss me, so I figured he didn't like me. And then we ended up going on a second date where I had to meet up with him, because at that time we lived maybe 40 to an hour apart, depending on traffic. And anyway, I had to meet him up for a second date, and I did not think I was going to be able to make it. I was very, very poor at this time. I lived in a hotel. I barely was working because my boss kept cutting my hours and cutting my hours. I started working full time, and by the time that, we'll get to it. Just know that over time she cut my hours, and when she got my hours down to a certain point, I had to drop out of school because I had to start looking for a secondary job, which I didn't end up getting, but we'll get to that. Anyway, so our second date, he did kiss me, and then on our third date, we decided to make it official, and like 2 weeks later, I moved in with him. So, and basically I moved in with him because, well, for one, he asked me to, and yes, I know that sounds silly, but I don't know if I told him before or after, but I was about to have to move back to Indiana because my job kept cutting and cutting and cutting my hours to the point where I couldn't really afford to live like anymore. And it's really a petty reason. The boss was married, by the way, but she was also sleeping with one of the guys that worked in the kitchen. I worked at Wawa, by the way. Anyway, she was sleeping with one of the kids that worked in the kitchen. And I say kids because this guy was younger than me, and I was in my late 20s at the time. And was I might have no, I was in my late 20s. Anyway, so what was I saying? So she was sleeping with this dude, but he flirted with everyone in the kitchen. But she was only like picking on when he was flirting with the people of her stature, like the bigger girls. Yeah. So like, whatever. I had no interest in him. I didn't even flirt back with him. I just laughed at all his jokes. That's not flirting in my opinion. That's just laughing at someone's jokes. But she was threatened by it. I wasn't the only one that got her hours cut. A friend of mine that I worked with, her hours were getting cut as well for the same exact reason, because he was flirting with her as well. So I would say, you know, you're a little insecure at that point. But anyway, that's how I met my husband, and a little bit more information. Sorry, I kind of do that. I kind of go off on tangents and stuff. Next question that Michelle asks, hopefully I'm saying your name right too. I want to say it's Michelle. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so how did you meet? Oh, we already did that one. What type of things do you enjoy doing when your husband isn't working? Honestly, we don't do much. We are, we'll go out to eat, or sometimes we go to the beach. We go to stores a lot to walk around. Usually we watch TV, or we sit outside and play games while Stitch swims. But yeah, we're pretty poor people. So I say that we're not pretty, we're poor for middle class, if that makes sense. Like, the amount of income we bring in should make it look like we have money, but like after you pay bills and everything else, there's no money. But yeah, we don't really do much. So, and then the last question from Michelle is, do you all use your pool much? No. The dog uses it more than I do. Uses it more than my husband. The pool is basically for the dog. I will get in it every now and then, but not right now. It's way too cold right now, believe it or not. It's very cold for Florida. Like, I'm not freezing to death down here by any means, but like for Florida, it's cold. Like, it's usually in the 40s, 50s in the morning right now. And so the pool is super cold because we don't have a heated pool here. Our old house, and the pool that we never got to use, that had a heated pool. Anyway, and then, yep, that was it for Michelle. So let's go on to the next question. All right, so the next question is from Snoopy618. And they ask, have you always lived in Florida? No. I was an Army brat, so I did not always live in Florida. In fact, I was born in Texas, and then we moved to Germany, and then sometime in there we lived in Kentucky. I think it was Texas to Kentucky for like a few months, and then to Germany, and then we moved back to Texas, then to Georgia, then to Indiana. I moved around Indiana a bunch just on my own because, you know, I was a person that thought they didn't need to live with their parents. So, yeah. And then to Florida, met my husband. After we got married, we moved back to Indiana for a while. And then we moved back to Florida in 2020, like right before the pandemic ever was a thing. So, and we've been here ever since. So we moved some while living here, but we've been here ever since. So, and then the next question from Snoopy is, what breed of dog do y'all have? So Stitch his mom was a full-blooded English Mastiff, and his dad was a Black Lab. And so he is a mix of them too. So we just say he's an English Mastiff Lab mix. I don't know if there's a name for that. Everyone thinks he's a Rottweiler. So, but he's not. At least I don't think he is. I wouldn't say he is. He's an English Mastiff Lab mix. So he looks like a Rottweiler, but he's not. Anyway, the next question is from Brittany I always say her name wrong, Brittany Ridnick 8920. She asked, what's your favorite book? Well, I'm going to give you two. Favorite book I read as like a preteen, teen, and still as an adult, every now and then I will still read it. It's called A Year Without Michael by Susan Beth Pfeiffer, I believe is her name. I'll have it up on the screen here. And then the second one is a 4-part series. It's a series, but it's a Child Called It series. It's a real life story, and it's just so heartbreaking, but it's one of those books that, like, one of those series that I can reread, and it kind of just is a reminder that, you know, some people are survivors, and, you know, I don't know how else to explain it. It's just because I don't want to give it away. I actually recommend everyone reads that book because I think it shines a lot of light onto child abuse and how kids can overcome it. So they shouldn't have to go through it, but that they can overcome it. So I think even if you were never abused as a child, which I was never abused as a child, but I'm a big advocate against child abuse. Like, wait, did I say that right? I'm against child abuse. So would it be an advocate against child abuse or an advocate? I don't know. Anyway, I'm against child abuse. And like, it's one of those things that pisses me off more than anything in the world, that someone could just purposefully hurt their child that way. It just is baffling to me. Like, I'm okay, and this is where it gets controversial, because there are some people that tell me, well, that's abuse, and I kind of disagree with them, because I'm okay for the occasional smack on the hand or the smack on the butt, because I truly do believe that a whooping, or whatever you want to call it, is different from being beat. Like, a beating is like a constant thing, whereas a whooping is like that on the rear end. Or if they're, you know, like, my mom smacked us on the hands, especially if we were reaching for the stove. You're not going to be like, don't do it, and then let them do it anyway. No, you're going to reach and smack their hands so they know not to do that. And I'm okay with that. I really am okay with that. And some people say that's child abuse, and I just disagree. I feel like at some point you are going to have to teach your children in a way that maybe you think might not be the right way. Or I guess just let them touch the hot burner and burn their hand, and then go to the hospital and try to explain to them, but I told them not to, because, you know, the doctors are going to look at you like you're an idiot and ask you why you didn't move them out of the way, or at least pat their hand. Because that is not going to hurt a child. That is not going to hurt a child. That might hurt a child. That did hurt, actually. But you're not going to hit them that hard. When you're telling them no, you're barely touching them. So the harder one I would consider abuse, but that, no. But yeah, I don't know how we got off on that tangent. See, I tell you, I'll get off on tangents. Anyway, Child Called It. I recommend it. Oh my God, why can't I think of his name? Why can't I think of his name? It's Dave something. Dave Pelzer. So I'll again have it up on the screen. It's a 4 trilogy. Child Called It, by far, in my opinion, is the best one. But it's A Child Called It, The Lost Boy, The Privilege of Youth, and A Man Named Dave. So it's four series, but you could really learn everything from just reading A Child Called It and A Man Named Dave. But if you want like a lot of the in-between stories, I recommend the other two as well. So anyway, hope that answers that question for you, even though I went off on kind of a tangent there. And then she asks, and just for fun, do you believe in aliens or ghosts? I believe in both, actually. Now, hold on. And yes, I still drink Monster. Aliens, I don't think are like little green creatures running around. I actually think they can metamorphose into looking just like us. And actually, sometimes I think maybe they look just like us. You know what I'm saying? They look human as well, but they're just from a different planet. And so maybe their intelligence is far exceeded ours, and they come, or maybe our intelligence is, well, I doubt our intelligence is more than them at this point. I'd happily move to a different world. Anyway, but yeah, I do believe in aliens. And I don't believe we will ever in our lifetime know the existence of them. I think the government does know of their existence. And I would not be shocked if some of them are in points of power. Now, I don't believe in like the lizard people and stuff like that by any means. I do think that there are people of power, though, that are from like a different planet, basically, because I don't know how to explain it. There's just too much coincidence on some things. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. Ghosts, absolutely. I absolutely do believe in ghosts. In fact, I'm pretty sure this house has a ghost, and I think it's a wandering ghost. That's why we kind of think it's my mom, and that she goes from child to my dad to child, dad. You know, we think she's a wandering ghost. Do I hope my mom's a ghost? Absolutely not. I hope my mom is at peace. But in a way, I kind of wonder if we... Okay, here, let's get a little bit religious, because you guys all know I'm a spiritual person, not very spiritual. I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person. Do I believe in heaven and hell? I believe it's a possibility. But I also think it's a possibility that when we die, some of us get, because I believe in reincarnation. So that's another thing. Some people say you can't believe in heaven or hell and reincarnation, but you can. But I believe one of the theories I believe is that when we die, we're either instantly reincarnated, which means our soul moves on and goes into another, or we're earthbound until our soul is to be reborn, meaning we're a ghost. So at that point, if we follow that theory, then the existence of ghosts tend to make sense to me, because I feel like saying that they're like calling them spirits with unfinished business doesn't make sense, because there are people that, you know, died ages and ages and ages and ages and ages ago, that then if that's the case, they're never going to get to pass on, because how are they supposed to finish their business when the people of their time aren't even around anymore? Does that make sense? So I don't necessarily believe that part of the whole ghost thing, but I do believe in ghosts. I believe in aliens. I believe that other mythical creatures could possibly exist, because here's my thing. Someone had to have seen something similar to even come up with the concept at some point. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, like like the whole vampire thing, I'm pretty sure came from someone, I don't even know. I read about it a long time ago and I don't even remember about it. But yeah. Anyway, I do believe in all that crap. I'm also a big into conspiracy theories. And yeah. So I hope that answered that question. All right, next. All right, so next, Autumn Soleil asks, what would be your dream trip? Where would you travel and what would you want to explore? So I thought about this. I really have thought about this. And all the places I want to visit, where would I want to go the most? And I really did think about this. And I think I would want to go to Ireland and Scotland because I feel a lot of like pull to those places. And okay, this is gonna make me sound stupid, or not stupid, but insane again. But I believe in past lives, and I believe that you have a pull to your past life. And I feel like at some point in one of my past lives, I lived in Scotland or England because I have a real big pull towards those areas. I also have a big pull towards like royalty and stuff like that. And I have a big pull towards, and I know no one asked this, but we'll get back to your question, I promise. But I also have a big pull, even before like the Titanic movie came out, I was fascinated with the Titanic. I wanted to know everything I could possibly know about it. And then I just remember like some of the things I was reading in books. I was like, that doesn't sound right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does not sound right. And it's just something you can't explain. It's like just this feeling. So I have a theory, and again, it's just a theory, that things you're like really drawn to and interested in have something to do with your past life. So that's why I feel like the like Parisian style buildings, you know, the more old buildings, the older architecture and stuff, I'm more drawn to that. And I feel like it's because of past life lived in a time where that was the norm, and then now we live in this modern age and it's just kind of like blasé, like ugh. So yeah, anyway, so where would I want to travel? Definitely to Scotland and Ireland. What would you want to explore? Well, everything, obviously, but Scotland, I want to do the Outlander tour for sure. I want to see, I can't even think. Let me pull up my perfect trip real quick because we had it planned out. So let me see if I can figure it out again. Okay, so I can kind of give you like a rundown of like the towns, like Edinburgh, Glasgow, Inverness, Dublin, Killarney, Newmark on Fergus. I want to see Highland Cattles in person because they're beautiful. I want to visit, and I heard you can visit at certain times, but I want to visit the Queen of Scots, Mary Queen of Scots castle because it still exists, and so I want to visit that. I would love to see is it Stonehenge? Stonehenge is in Ireland, right? I want to see Stonehenge. I think it's in Ireland. I know Inverness and Edinburgh are on the tour of the Outlander tour, but I want to see the battleground. The battle. Oh my God, why can't I think of it, people? The battle. The battle between the Jacobites and the British Army. Why can't I think of where it was, what it was called? I want to visit the battleground. And I believe that's somewhere in Inverness or right outside of Inverness. And I'm probably saying that wrong, and I'm sorry. Inverness. Oh, the Isle of Skye. I would love to see that. That's what, if you ever watched Outlander, the song at the beginning is about that island. It's, oh, beautiful song, beautiful place. I've seen pictures of it. I will try to remember to put pictures up for you guys in the thing. But yes, Scotland, Ireland, those are the two places I want to visit. And I think my husband and I are planning on doing that. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. We haven't quite decided yet on that. But we're going to actually do one of the tours. So you're only spending like a day or so in certain places, but the tours are designed to help you kind of decide where you want to really come back and explore on your next trip. And so we figured if we could do that kind of tour, then the next time we go, we'll get to see more in depth of stuff. So, or if we decide, this isn't for us, which I really highly doubt, we'll think that. At least I doubt that. Belfast. I'm trying to think of the other places. But yeah, I want to go see all the castles, all the battlefields, all the history. I'm a big history person, even though I sucked at history in school, but I love history. I love learning about the history because here's the thing. As great as, the history we learned in school is, which we learned American history and very little world history, I'm more interested in learning about the places that have, been for years and years and years. Not saying that America hadn't been around for years and years and years. It had been, but it was inhabited by the Native Americans, and there is history from them, but a lot of the history that you can find most days just refer to the disillusion, the pilgrims coming, or I don't even know what they called them, to be honest, but them coming over and basically taking over, the white man taking over their land. And I would like history from before that, because I don't know, just be fun to just be fun. Anyway, we're gonna go outside. I'm gonna show you my garden, and yeah, we'll be back. Before we go outside, I have to say Stonehenge is located in the United Kingdom, in England. It's in England. Why did I think it was in Ireland? Oh my, wow. Well, sometimes you just gotta learn things, I guess. I always thought it was in like Northern Ireland for some reason, but it's in Southern England. According to this map anyway, the map of, yeah, it's a monument in Wiltshire, England. Wow. I always thought it was in Ireland. Oh my God, I feel stupid. Also, look. That's what I deal with 24/7. Someone's always staring at me. Anyway, I'm just going through and getting pictures for the Q&A, and then we're gonna go outside. So I figured I'd jump in and just say that. Also, I think it's the Battle of I took a picture of, not took a picture, but I got a picture of it. It was the Battle of why can't I speak? Let me find it. The Battle of Culloden. The Battle of Culloden is the battle I was talking about earlier. I have a picture that I'll insert. Anyway, let's go outside. All right, hopefully you can hear me. So in this back corner here, my husband's gonna actually use PVC to build a bed. I'll kind of show you, hold on. So from here all the way to the end, we're gonna build we're gonna try real hard. I deal with that every day too. Anyway, so where I was standing, from that hole in the fence over to here, so it's whatever the length of this right here is, or width, and then the length, it's quite a good size. Anyway, so we're gonna build a permanent bed there, and then we have my rolling bin that's gonna go on this pad, and then we also have my green stock that's gonna be out here with strawberries and herbs in it. I'm gonna take you back in and we'll talk about it more, because they're fucking annoying. I'm sorry, excuse my language. Okay, sorry. I tried to do more, but hopefully you heard me. We were gonna build a built-in bed out there in that one area, and then the planter box I have now, my husband's talking about getting another raised planter box or bed, whatever you want to call them, and then my green stock. And so far I'm planning on doing tomatoes, strawberries, herbs, possibly. I'm gonna have to look what else I can plant at the time. Sorry, at the time of year we're gonna be planting things out. I hate saying this, but I really wish those people would move, because you can't even sit outside and enjoy it anymore. Like, we let Stitch out to swim, what was it, Saturday, and we played games, but like the whole time I was like ready to like hurt someone, because their dogs, like, Stitch barks, right? But when I tell him to shut up, he will shut up. You know what I'm saying? Whereas their dogs are always yapping. Always yapping. It's like, make them go inside. Why? First of all, why are you leaving your damn dogs outside all the time? Sorry. I know people are gonna be like, dogs are meant to be outside. Look, little dogs are not meant to be outside, especially in Florida. Granted, they're in, well, first of all, they're in a screened-in porch with a pool, might I add. And I know for a fact that pool has no cover on it, because we live right next door to them, and during the hurricane there was no fence and we seen into there. So their little yappy dogs could fall in the pool at any time and drown, because they don't watch them. They sure the fuck don't. I'm sorry. There's that word again. I'm sorry. They sure don't watch them. And it's really annoying. Really annoying. Like, I used to be able to enjoy being outside, and now it's like I even contemplate doing a garden because I'm not gonna get to really enjoy it. Because the minute they hear something outside, they start barking, and they just keep barking and barking and barking and barking and barking and barking and barking. They're probably still barking. They're probably still barking. It's just not enjoyable. And gardening is supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be something to help me take my mind off other things. And it just feels like as long as they're living there, it's not going to be enjoyable at all. It's not going to be enjoyable. You guys seen how it was quiet until I started talking, right? Until I went over and started talking. And then they started yapping, and they didn't shut up the whole time we were out there. It's annoying. Like, I purposefully try to open the door quietly, try to open the screen door quietly to that stitch out so it doesn't slam, because if it slams or if they hear the door open or anything like that, it's the whole time. The whole time. And what really pisses me off, and sorry for saying foul language today, is that they didn't leave their dogs outside until we put the fence up. Their dogs usually stayed in the house and were in the bedroom all the time barking out the window. But it wasn't so loud and obnoxiously annoying when they were in the house. But when they're outside, it's loud and obnoxiously annoying. Like, Stitch's barking causes anxiety in me. Like, so you can imagine how much anxiety their barking gives me. Like, it really grates on my nerves. It really causes a lot. It really, like, it just gets my nerves going. So anyway, not that that was important. I'm just was letting you guys know that I wish they would move. So anyway, I will Autumn Soleil, I will send you a more in-depth personal message, since I didn't get to answer it proper on here. It's really just it's sad that I can't do anything about them dogs. Oh, and it's sad that they don't care. In fact, I'm pretty sure the girl hasn't been there for a long time, so I don't know if she's out of country or what. But, so I almost wonder if she even knows her dogs are being left outside. I don't know. But they're quite annoying. Very, very annoying. Very annoying. Right, Stitch? Are they annoying? Do you like them? Or do you wish they would move? You want them to move? Me too. He said so. You didn't hear him? He said he wanted them to move. Nope, wrong way. Come around this way. You guys were about to be on the floor. You guys were about to be on the floor. This guy was gonna knock you over. He said, I need to get to my mom. You stink. You stink. You smell like dirty dog. You smell like dirty dog. Look at that face. Look. No? Let me see if I can move you down further. No, you can't see him there. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below any questions you may have. If I get enough questions, we'll do another Q&A in the future. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
I found my way, I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day. Cause I found my way, I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay. Cause I found my way.